Welcome back to the Bigger Than Birth podcast, where we're celebrating bigger bodies and beautiful births. I'm your host, Victoria Gaba, and each week we will be bringing you the real stories of plus-size moms as they share their journey through fertility, pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. These stories highlight what it's like to navigate through this experience as a woman in a bigger body in hopes of creating representation for plus-size moms, both present and future. Thank you for being part of this community as we share these stories that are so much bigger than birth. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. On today's episode, we have Sarah joining us, and she talks us through her experience with prenatal anxiety, as well as some issues with high blood pressure throughout her pregnancy. She talks about her hospitalization 2 times before going into labor, and then ultimately deciding to move forward with a scheduled C-section. She takes us through her postpartum journey and how healing from a C-section went, as well as shares advice on disregarding standards of society and trusting your gut. I hope you all enjoy this episode as much as I have, and here's Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and where you're living right now?
Yeah, so I'm in Pearland, Texas for now, which is just south of Houston. My husband and I are getting ready to move up to East Texas eventually, but we don't know exactly when. I have one daughter. Her name is Olivia. She is 7.5-ish months old. And I have 3 dogs. Luna is a German Shepherd, Ollie is a Lab, and Layla is a mutt. And they are driving me nuts all the time. And I am obsessed with Harry Potter.
Nice. I love it too. I feel like that's the millennial staple of if you're not, then you got to get out of the club.
Basically.
Awesome. Well, that's super exciting. And so I guess we'll jump into it. So were you planning to conceive when y'all did?
Yeah, I'm 37 years old, so I got pregnant when I was 35. And my husband and I, we met in April. We met online. We met in April of 2023. He proposed in December of that year, and then we were married the next September. And
Okay.
we had hoped for a honeymoon baby, but we didn't get that. We were a month behind. But yeah, so we planned to get pregnant really fast after we got married because I was like, I'm not old, but I want to make sure that I
Yeah.
have time to have kids.
Were you concerned at all with your age up there that like, oh, it might take longer being a little bit older and plus size, or were you just like,
Oh
here
yeah,
we go?
absolutely. We had decided that, so we got married in September, and if by March of the next year we weren't pregnant yet, then we would look into like getting tested, seeing what was going on and everything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know that's a lot of concerns for many people, especially with being plus size and then adding on a geriatric pregnancy, of course. So, but that's awesome that it went really quickly for y'all. So, I guess how did your pregnancy go from finding out to like any symptoms throughout?
I was not one of those people that enjoyed being pregnant at all. So I have chronic anxiety before I got pregnant, and then you add in pregnancy and just constantly worried about, am I doing enough? Is my size okay? I found out at like 3 weeks, 6 days or something. Like my husband and I weren't going to test until I missed a period, but we were going to a concert the day that I was supposed to start my period, and we were like, okay, we're going to a concert. I want to make sure, like, can I have some drinks or not? And so we found out like 4 days before the concert. And from that point until I was about 21 weeks when I could feel her move, I was testing pretty much maybe every day, but definitely every week just to make sure, because I would have dreams that I had lost her. I would have dreams that I'm not pregnant anymore. And that was all in my head. And, I say, like, in terms of symptoms, I had a pretty easy pregnancy. Like, I had some morning sickness at the beginning, but it wasn't awful. Like, I wasn't in the bathroom all the time. I just would get sick every now and then. I didn't have a whole lot of cravings. It was one that I crave, like Slim Jims or like any kind of version of like that kind of meat stick, which I know you're not
Yeah.
supposed to have, but like whatever. And as soon as I ate it, I threw it up and I was like, really? You wanted this? This is what you wanted. But I didn't have a whole lot of cravings. Finding clothes was the hardest part. Like emotionally, like it was just they don't make plus size maternity clothes at all.
Hmm.
They make plus size clothes and then you have to like kind of make it work. And so finding clothes was the hardest, but I didn't really go anywhere. And so I just wore sweatpants and t-shirts. And then with being plus size, I know that I was concerned about being able to feel her and like, will I be able to feel her move because I'm plus size? That I definitely could feel her. I remember the first time I felt her, I was about 21 weeks exactly. And I I felt like, the little butterflies and the little flutters, and I text my mom, was like, "Oh my gosh, I just felt her move," and now my husband never really got to feel her because of my size, but there was one time when we were in the hospital and I it was a big move, and so I felt her kick, and I was like, "Hey, watch," and he got to see her move, and so
That's so
that was
cool.
pretty cool, but he never got to really feel her, but I felt her all the time, and then I had high blood pressure throughout my entire pregnancy. It was never preeclampsia, thank goodness, and it was never HELP, but it was the entire pregnancy, I had high blood pressure, so there was twice that I was hospitalized because I had gone for a visit, my blood pressure was too high, they sent me to the hospital, and then they sent me to another hospital with a better NICU, and I had to stay overnight twice because of my blood pressure. And then after she was born, my blood pressure also went up and had to stay, I think we stayed like 5 days in the hospital. So pregnancy was not fun for me. Also, I was super swollen. I mean, I by the end of pregnancy, I could barely move because I was so swollen and just
Wow.
out of breath. Yeah, pregnancy was not fun for me.
Were the doctors ever concerned? So, with the swelling in combination with the high blood pressure, did they suspect it was preeclampsia and like tested more frequently for that?
So we tested, I mean, obviously, like they test my urine every time I went, but I was going weekly
Hmm.
way before I should have been going weekly. Um, And so, yeah, they were very concerned. That's why I went to the hospital twice. And at one point, they actually gave me too much blood pressure medicine, and my blood pressure dropped
Oh no.
way too low. So I had to take an ambulance ride to the hospital again. That was worse than anything I've ever experienced. But yeah, they were very concerned. And towards the end, I know that like there was protein in my urine because I would always check my labs. I was like, is there protein? Is it okay? And towards the end, I know
Hmm.
that there was, but I didn't have any other symptoms. I mean, I had headaches, but I have allergies, I get headaches frequently, and medicine doesn't work very well for me, so, like, them saying, "Do you have any headaches that don't go away?" I was like, "Yes, but they're
That's
normal."
normal.
And then I did start seeing, like, spots towards the very end, but it wasn't all the time, and it was just like the doctor's like, "Yeah, that's okay." So but they were very concerned. I was concerned too. I mean, I know I had to be on Mag drip twice in the
Oh
hospital,
wow.
which I never again. Like, I hope that I never have to do that again because it was miserable.
So that was the
Yeah.
magnesium drip before birth. You had to be on that
Yeah.
as well.
So, first time I went to the hospital, I was 20 something weeks, but I was past viability week, so I was concerned, but not as concerned. And then
Hmm.
the second time, I think I was like 30 something weeks, and both times I had to be on a magnesium drip, and I think at least one time I had to get a steroid shot for her lungs to make sure that they developed
In
in case we
case
had
she
to
came
deliver.
early.
Yeah.
Got it. So what was the experience of the magnesium drip? I've heard some other some other stories, but kind of how did that process go for you?
So, first of all, I had to have a catheter, which it's just so uncomfortable, and then I was so groggy, and I had never been groggy before, so I had no idea what it was, but I remember that one time the
Mhm.
nurse came in to take my blood pressure, and I was awake but asleep at the same time. Like, I was awake, I knew what was going on, but I also felt like I was dreaming. I learned after I gave birth that that's what groggy feels like. That's, like, drugged, but I had no idea,
Yeah.
and it was hot, like, it made me hot, it also made me, like, kinda nauseous. It was so uncomfortable.
So you went through that the first time when you were at your appointment, they said, "Okay, we're sending you back again." How how was that? Were you like, "Oh gosh, here we go again?"
It was honestly devastating. The first time
Yeah.
we stayed in labor and delivery triage for a while before they transferred me to a bigger hospital, and it was just one of those, like, "Okay, it's no big deal, it's fine." Like, I mean, it's a big deal, but I wasn't as anxious about it. But the second time was closer to my due date, and
Mhm.
I was devastated because I was like, "I do not want to deliver her yet." Like, I'm tired of being pregnant, but I also need her to stay in a little bit longer, and, like, I know that she'll be okay, but I don't want that experience, like, and I wouldn't wish a NICU baby on anybody, and I was just like, "I
Right.
don't want that, I don't want her to be in the NICU," and the hospital was an hour away from where we lived, and so it's like, I don't wanna have to go an hour home and back, and, so, yeah, the second time, it was just devastating and terrifying, and I spent longer the second time than the first time because my blood pressure
Oh
just
wow.
wouldn't come down because I was so stressed.
Yeah, of course. You've
Yeah.
been through it and worried more because it is the time, and they might be more likely to push you to, like, okay, let's have this baby. So, I guess going into that, how did you go into labor naturally, or because of that, did they kind of push you into a certain way of delivering?
So I didn't go into labor. We had a scheduled C-section, but we were gonna
Okay.
induce at 37 weeks just because my blood pressure was getting out of control. I
Hmm.
couldn't control it, and also like just I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't move at all. But my last appointment before baby girl was breech. She was still way she hasn't dropped at all. I had no signs of labor. So I had no Braxton Hicks. I hadn't lost
Yeah.
a mucus plug. I had nothing. Like it was like she is happy in there and she does not want to come out. And so we did a scheduled C-section, and so I had no labor at all, which I hear people say, like, C-section is the hardest way, but honestly, for me, it was the easiest thing in the world.
So you had the C-section scheduled. Did that give you a little bit of a peace of mind having like a time in a day?
It did because I was like, "Okay, I can eat sooner. As soon as I get it done, I can eat," and then the only thing that I was concerned about is my size, and the doctor wasn't sure if they were gonna have to do a vertical incision or not. They didn't, it was a
Right.
normal C-section, but that's what I was concerned about was, like, is my size gonna play into how she's born? But other than that, I had never had surgery either, so it was my first
Hmm.
surgery, so I was nervous about that, but I was really like, "Okay, this is it, like, let's go." I don't have to wait to labor, I don't have to worry about, like, all the pain from labor or any of that, like, it just let's go.
Did you find that the doctors were bringing up weight consistently, either prenatally or right before the C-section?
I was treated very normal,
That's
not
good.
once was my weight a concern, and I didn't gain any weight until the 3rd trimester, maybe a couple pounds here and there, but I would drop up and down so frequently, but then I gained about 40 pounds the 3rd trimester. Most of it was fluid, but no, they were
I was gonna
all
say that's just from all the swelling.
yeah, all the doctors were great. I never felt like a plus size woman going to the doctor. Now, like, a couple times when they had a hard time seeing the baby, but they never like, she also was very active, and so part of it was her fault, but they never made me feel like a plus size woman, and the concern about, like, this incision were my concerns. The doctor was not concerned at all.
That's super great. So I guess starting from the C-section happened, did they take her away pretty quickly, like let you see her, or did they allow her and your husband, or was your husband in the room as well?
My husband was in the room, he didn't have a choice. I was like, "Whether I give
Yep.
birth, like, go into labor or I have a C-section, you're gonna be in the room." Now, he didn't wanna cut the cord, and that's okay, not a big deal, but so they got her out, and I just remember hearing her cry, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," it was the most beautiful thing ever, and so then where they did all the weights and measure, I could see all that, like, it was in my line of vision, so I was watching them and, like, hearing, and, then they brought her over to see us, we took the picture, and then they took her to the NICU just because she's C-section, she had some fluid in her lungs because she didn't get that push, and my husband went with her. I told him from the beginning, I was like, "Wherever they take her, you go with her. You do not leave her side." My mom was there, and so after the surgery, like, my mom came into the post-op, which she wasn't technically allowed yet, but I was kinda making a big deal. I was like, "I just had surgery, I'm all alone, I've never had surgery, please go get my mom."
Right. I need
So
somebody here.
yeah, but he stayed with my baby the entire time because we had decided, like, I don't care what they do, like, you stay with them just in case something happens.
Did y'all find out gender before? Did you know it was gonna be a little girl?
Oh, yeah. So I think we found out at, like, 12 weeks or so, we did the NIPT testing, and so
Okay.
we found out early, and what we did was we went to, Build-A-Bear. So we got the results, we went to Build-A-Bear and we picked out a boy outfit and a girl outfit, and then we had the staff, like, dress it, and then we came home and did a private gender reveal, just the 2 of us. It was the sweetest thing, and so I always wanted a girl. He wanted a boy, but now he is the perfect girl dad, but so
Yeah.
I had built up, like, expecting a boy just so that, like, I wouldn't be disappointed. I mean, I was gonna
Yeah.
love the baby either way, but I wanted a girl, and so I
Of
had built it
course.
up like, "It's a boy, it's a boy, it's a boy," and then when it was a girl, I was like, "Oh."
You're
And
like,
then at our
"Yes, I
anatomy
got it."
scan, I had him confirm just to make sure. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
"Is the NIPT correct?"
I guess going from that point forward, how was recovery? Like, how long did you stay in the hospital and things like that?
So, recovery was pretty easy, well, except for my epidural wore off when she was stitching me up, and so I could
Oh,
feel
no.
well, the stitching wasn't the problem, like, I could feel it, but it was just kinda like little pokes. It was transferring me off operating table onto the gurney where I was literally screaming. Like the anesthesiologist had to give me pain medicine in the hallway because I was hurting so bad.
Oh my
And then when they had to do
goodness.
the massage, they had to give me 2 doses of fast-acting fentanyl and then a dose of oxy something to get me to
Yeah.
relax. So it took almost 2 hours to stitch me up, which is ridiculous. And I hadn't seen the baby except for like the brief moment where they're like, "Hey, look, here's your baby." But I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay, I can't hold her. I'm on an operating table." Once I finally got to see her, I was so high on the oxy that I was like, "I don't feel safe holding her." So I got like 5 minutes of skin to skin, maybe, because I was just like, I don't feel safe holding her because I don't know what I'm doing. So that was disappointing too, because 'cause I'm like, "Ugh." And the anesthesiologist was like, "I can give you another dose of the epidural, but it's gonna take 9 hours before or several hours before it wears off." And I was like, "No, I don't want that." So I went in at like 7 in the morning on a Tuesday, and then by 11 o'clock that night, they were taking out the epidural, which means they were also taking out the catheter. Yay. And I think
Yes.
about 3 o'clock that morning, I was like, "Okay, I gotta go to the bathroom." And I think the reason it was so difficult to walk was because I had not walked for almost 24 hours at all. Like, I was just in a
Yeah.
bed, but it wasn't awful. Like, yeah, it hurt. What, like, the worst was when I was like adjusting in bed and it was kind of like a pulling hurt, but it wasn't terrible. Like, I've had worse pain. And then at one point, though, Olivia is her name, she got jaundice, and so she was sitting in the blue light in my room just screaming because she's naked, I can't hold her, and one of the techs comes in to check my blood pressure, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna tell you it's probably gonna be high because my baby is upset." And
Yeah.
sh The tech was super rude, she was just like, "Well, why?" I was like, "Well, because I'm a first-time mom." Not that it matters, like, I'm a mom, and my baby is upset, and I
My
can't
baby's
comfort her.
crying.
And so she was super rude, and then it just kind of once it got high in the hospital, it just kinda stayed high, which is my experience from being in the hospital because I was stressed out about it. And
Mhm.
so we she was born on July 1st, and we didn't go home until July 5th just because they were watching my blood pressure, and I'm like,
Wow.
"If you let me go home, I will monitor at home, it will go down, I promise, like, please just let me go home." And finally they did, but I had to really fight to, like, get them to release me.
And was that, like, really the only reason? Like, Olivia was doing good, it was just monitoring blood pressure?
Just blood pressure.
And did you have to do, you said, another mag drip while you were in the hospital for those 5 days?
It was early, so I went to the hospital twice before she was born, and I had to do a mag drip
Mhm.
both of those times.
Got it, but you did not have to do a mag drip postpartum.
I don't think so. I don't remember, but I think that, like I'm pretty sure that once the epidural was out, my IVs were out as well, and I just
Got it.
had the needle not the needle, but the tube. So, yeah, I don't think I did.
Okay. And so how did she do postpartum? I know you said she had a little bit of jaundice, but was there anything else or she was very healthy?
She was, healthy-ish, I say ish, she was born with a very mild heart defect that we knew about
Mhm.
so we found out about 3 weeks before she was born, which honestly, that was better than finding out earlier. Um, but one of the mitral valve that just was too big is what we found out after and so other than that, like, she was healthy. She's still healthy, like, the cardiologist, like, follow up in 2 years, and so yeah, other than the jaundice, she was great, like, she was little bitty, 6 pounds, 9 ounces, which probably because she was 3 weeks early because everybody's like, she's measuring really big," and I'm like, "Yeah, she is tiny." No, she was very healthy.
That's awesome. So with the heart condition, it is just something that they have to monitor kind of as
Mhm.
she grows and everything, but nothing serious right now.
Right, but we didn't know they had no idea what it was, they just knew that there was something, and it could be something really serious needing surgery right then, or it could be something that we could monitor and would eventually need surgery.
Mhm.
Basically, they just couldn't tell and they couldn't get a good enough read because of my body weight, but also
Mhm.
the little girl did not move. Like, I've had to do so many NSTs and we could not get her on the monitor because she just wouldn't move at all. I mean, she wouldn't be still at all. She was just constantly moving. But yeah, so they did an echo when she was born that my husband was there with because I was still in the operating room, and they said,
Mhm.
"Okay, yeah, you're gonna follow up in a month and we'll see." And then they're like, we're pretty sure that it's this valve that's just too big, but she'll grow into it. So then they did another echo when she was about 2 months old and said, "Okay, she can come back in 2 years. We're just gonna monitor it, and it won't cause her any problems or anything."
That's great. That's super
Yeah.
great. I know that's like you said, it's probably a blessing that you didn't find out earlier in pregnancy because it's just another thing to think and worry about. I know all of us do as we find out any kind of information, but that's great that it's nothing serious and can just be monitored as she grows. So I guess going back to recovery, did you have any issues with your incision? Like besides blood pressure, was there any other issues postpartum?
Um, I did get a little bit, like, yeasty over my incision. I do have a belly that hangs over it, but other
Mhm.
than that, no, and it healed really well. So, I would have my husband take pictures of it and, like, was looking, and it never split open. I never had any infection. It healed really well, and then I know at my 6-week appointment, the doctor said, like, "Yeah, there's some yeast there again." I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's Texas. It's August. I'm overweight." Like,
Yeah, it's hot,
I mean, I got yeast there before had a C-section, so
right?
yeah, but other than that, no, I mean, some itching, like, there was itching, but that's normal with the incision and just the
Mhm.
normal stuff, like pain when I cough or pain and coughing and laughing um, but even, like, in the hospital, like, the only pain that I really had was shifting positions, and it was kinda like a pulling, like, I only took hard pain medicine right after surgery, and then I would manage it with Tylenol and ibuprofen.
So, did you have anything like I know some people use a belly binder or anything to help, like because I know with the coughing and everything that hurts, did you use anything like that?
The hospital gave me a belly binder, and it was so funny because I was so swollen that, like, I was actually, like, I had, like, fluid coming out of one of my like, IV sites, like, and my mom who works in medical, she's like, "She's weeping." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And the nurse was like, "I have very rarely seen this happen." And so I had a belly binder that I wore for a couple days in the hospital, but then I shrunk down so much that it was falling off of me, and I was like, "Meh, whatever," like, and I was like, I asked the nurse, I was like, "Do I need it?" They're like, "No," and so after that, I was like, "Nah, I'm fine," and so after I didn't really need it. I had a pillow, but it didn't help very much.
Did you find that the swelling went down, like you said, in a couple days, or did anything linger on?
It mostly started to go down immediately. I mean, as soon as the baby was out, I remember being wheeled to the post-op room and I was like, "Whoa, I'm significantly smaller than I was
I'm
a few hours
shrinking.
ago." It did take some time for it to completely go down, maybe a week or 2, but after that, like, it's gone. My feet, I don't know if they're still swollen or they just like, they didn't grow in, like, width, like, length like most people's do. They just I have some
Okay.
shoes that I could wear pre-pregnancy that I can't wear now because 'cause they're too tight.
That's always a bummer. So, after you get home, what were the, like, first week or 2 having the baby home?
It was pretty rough. My mom my mom stayed at our house for a week, but we were in the hospital the whole time, so she did take care of the dogs, and she came and, like, she got the house cleaned, which that was really nice to come home to, was nice clean house, and, um, Olivia slept great in the hospital, but then as soon as we got home, it was like, "She's not going down." I remember the first night we were home, we tried for several hours to get her to sleep, and we didn't eat dinner till, like, 9:30 or something. We tried several hours, we couldn't do anything, and finally, we slept on the couch with her, which I know, safe sleep, don't do it, but it was all we could do, and so, we have a L-shaped sectional, and I slept, like, in the corner, and I had her up on my chest and made sure that, like, she couldn't move, and my husband actually, like, put a dog gate in front of me and, like, blocked me off a pillow, so, like, I was stuck on the couch, and we
Yeah.
actually had to, like, sleep with her like that for months because
Oh,
we could
wow.
not get her to sleep anywhere but in our arms, and, like, we had a bassinet in the bedroom, she wouldn't sleep there, and so we would take turns, like, I would go to sleep first on the couch, and then around 2 in the morning, we'd switch, and I know that that's the worst thing ever, like, sleeping on a couch, but I was like, we're not getting any sleep and not so I think she was about 4 months before she would start to sleep on her own.
And did that run straight into, like, a 4-month sleep regression, or that was, like, the opposite, where she wouldn't sleep alone and then she moved to being able to sleep alone?
Her regressions weren't that bad, and so it was hard to tell if, like, it was a regression or just, like, her getting used to the new environment, but yeah, I remember the first night she slept in her crib, we're like, "Did she sleep? Is she okay?
She breathing?
Is she breathing?" Yeah, but it was the first 4 months were just awful because neither one of us were getting sleep, and then I had to go back to work very early because I had actually gotten fired from a job when I told them I was pregnant. Now, they're gonna say of course, they say that that wasn't the reason, but that was the reason, and so I didn't work for 6 months, and my unemployment was expiring, and so I had to go find a job. So I was sleeping on the couch, working full time, like, getting less sleep than normal because I every time she moved, I'd wake up and yeah, the first
Mhm.
4 months were awful.
Yeah. For feeding, did you try breastfeeding or did you go straight to formula? How did that
I
go
went
for
straight
you?
to formula. I'd planned to breastfeed, but with the pregnancy complications and just being so worn down, I was like, "I can't do that to myself." Put on your own oxygen mask before you help somebody else, and so I was
Yep.
like, "Okay, I'm gonna do formula," which is good because I didn't even get milk until she was about 3 days old. So, yeah, I was like my body was not, like, ready for labor at all. It wasn't ready for her to be born, and so we did straight to formula, and that way my husband can help out, and I can sleep a little bit.
Yeah. Very commonly with C-section, it does take a little while for milk to come in and then add on that she was born a few weeks early too. I know that's a stressful situation. So is there anything else that you wanna share, I guess, resources or anything that you used or learned through pregnancy, postpartum?
TikTok. I use TikTok a lot, but with that, like, take everything with a grain of salt because you're gonna have a lot of negative, and then there's a lot of positive and, like, a lot of really scary plus size stories. I use a lot of TikTok. I found, like, a community and, you know, took it the good with the bad, like, "Oh, this may not happen, but it might." Like, everybody says, like, you have to be a certain weight before you get pregnant. No, you don't. Like, weight
Mhm.
makes it harder because you're already carrying so much weight and then you're adding to it, but you don't have to be mid-size or smaller to get pregnant. Like, you can get pregnant, you can have a healthy baby because Olivia is doing great. Like, she is thriving. She is exceeding milestones. Like, she's got 5 teeth already. She's rolling
Oh,
over. She's
wow.
not quite starting to talk, but she's almost starting to talk.
Mhm.
And yeah, pregnancy was hard, but it was the best thing I've ever done. I plan to do it all over again, even though it was hard and I was in the hospital, but I plan to do it all over again. Like, we actually plan to start trying in July.
It's like you almost forget those things when you start looking to have another baby. You're like, "Alright, it wasn't so bad. We'll just keep it moving."
Yeah, and then you get, like, the newborn, like, the snuggles and the scrunch and, like, the sleepy smiles, and it's just I
Yeah,
wish
when
I
they
could
start
bottle that up.
smiling, it's like exactly, it's like when our little guy started smiling, just you love them the first time you see them, but then they smile at you and you're just like tears, just so
Yes,
happy.
and Olivia wakes up smiling, like, she is the happiest baby, and she just
That's the
wakes up
best.
smiling, and then she laughs all the time, like and so I'm like, "Oh, I want another one."
Well, I hope the next one goes super easy. That's amazing that y'all were able to get pregnant because I know that's a concern that a lot of plus size women do have, either just a concern from themselves or sometimes doctors. I know my doctor before was like, "Oh, you have PCOS. It'll be really hard to get pregnant." And it wasn't for us either, thankfully. I know some people do. But just your story is an example of, hey, like you can absolutely get pregnant if you're plus size and you can absolutely have a beautiful, healthy baby if you're plus size. So I think that's huge and super important that others know that.
Yeah, and I don't wanna gloss over the fact that it's not easy for everyone, like, I know that
Mhm.
I have friends that are not plus size that had to do IVF or, struggled to get pregnant. I and so the fact that I was able to get pregnant so fast, it's just the beauty in that is not lost on me. Like, I'm so
Mhm.
grateful for that. Now, going into, like, getting ready in the next few months to try it again, like, I am cautious because 'cause I'm like, "Well, it may not happen again," and my mom's like, "Well, I would got pregnant very easily with both of y'all." I was like, "Yeah, okay, but you were also 20 something years old and you were little."
Yeah.
And so I think I'm cautiously optimistic. It may not happen immediately, or at all, but it happened really fast the first time, so there's a chance that it'll happen really fast another time.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all just need to schedule a concert and just go and
Exactly.
find out if you can
I mean,
drink or not. That's the key.
we do have a concert scheduled sometime in June, but it's a little bit before we wanted to start trying, but I mean
That might be the ticket, literally. So, final thoughts, is there any, I guess, wisdom, information, advice that you would give to fellow plus size moms or people that are looking to have a baby in the coming months or years?
Just, like do your own thing. I mean, obviously listen to your doctors, but don't worry about what society says, especially like when it comes to, like, sharing the news, like, I told my best friend the day I got a positive test. We told our family at, like, 6 weeks, so we didn't wait the 12 weeks because I was like, "I'm so excited, and if something happens, I want the community," but don't worry about what other people say, like, you if you're a plus size woman, you may not look pregnant. You might, but you may just look round, and that's okay. You can do everything that a not plus size woman can do and still have a good pregnancy. So just listen to your doctors, but also listen to your gut. Like if you think something's wrong, trust that because it's better to be over dramatic than have something really wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be able to advocate for yourself of if like you know you and you know your baby better than anyone can. So I absolutely agree with that. Well, awesome, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience, and hopefully in another year or so then we get to hear another birth story from you.
I hope so.
Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. If you enjoyed this episode and want more stories just like this one, please be sure to like and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, if you have a moment, please consider leaving us a positive review wherever you're listening to the show. These reviews are the best way for the algorithm to push out our show and get us in front of other plus-size moms who may be looking for a community like this one. Your kind words can help make sure that no one has to go through this journey alone. If you are a fellow plus-size mom and would be interested in sharing your story, please reach out to us at biggerthanbirthpodcast@gmail.com. Use the subject line "Share My Story" and I will be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. Want to put a face to a voice? Head over to any of our social media pages linked in the show notes below to see more photos of today's guest. Any resources or topics discussed in today's episodes will also be linked below. Thanks again for being a part of the Bigger Than Birth community, and we will see you next week. Bye!